this is Heather Marzigliano. I am from Grace on Broadway, which is in Northeast Pennsylvania. I am a very long time Dixie Belle retailer, and I'm also one of the founders of the Bells and Bow Tour. But what we're doing today is day 2 of, well, technically day 3, but paint-wise day 2. We talked about this one on New Year's Eve and what we were going to do, and then we came up with the plan, and then we started the following week. So now we're on to step 2, which is the decoupage step. So this is a fun little chest of drawers that I have. There's 4 drawers. We painted it in the navy by Dixie Belle. And what we're going to do today is I decided that I wanted to add this blueprint decoupage paper by Recycle, and we're going to add it to this inset. Now, where we're at this point is this has 2 coats of paint, and I wanted to go this whole piece here. So I don't want to do individual drawers, so I think I'm going to try to do this with the drawers in, but because I need to manipulate the drawers, I think I'm going to pop. I was debating popping the hardware in, but that's always a whole thing, so we might be able to get away with not doing that. Hopefully I don't regret this. I'm on the fence with putting the hardware back in to maneuver the drawers, but I have my handy dandy screwdriver, so I think we're going to be okay. So what I'm going to do is make sure that all of the drawers are lined up. Okay, so now that we're for the most part lined up, I just went from too far out to too far in. Oh my goodness. Oop. Okay, there we go. To be clear, I'm also doing my decoupage where I'm okay if it doesn't look perfect. When I decoupage, I sometimes really like how the paper will take on a texture. I like how we can make the edges look a little bit rough and like it was kind of part of it. So that's kind of what we're going to be going for. I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Top Coat Satin to adhere my paper both on the bottom and on the top. So what we're going to do is, this is my clear coat satin. I'm going to go ahead and get this open. I have to tap my lids. I was using this yesterday, and I have an awful habit of not cleaning my lids. So things like that happen. I'm also going to add would you band, but I think I might end up adding that next week. Let's see how far we get with the decoupage first. If we have time, we'll go for it today. If not, we'll do it for sure next week, because I have these cool gears from Would You Bend that I think go with the blueprint perfectly. All right, so I have some clear coat actually in my lid, so it's kind of helpful to just work with it right from there. So this is a chip brush. I've used it a couple of times. I like chip brushes for stuff like this. So what we're gonna do, I want it to be here, down here, to here. So I'm gonna paint a thin layer, not too thin, but not like obnoxiously thick, of clear coat to the area that I'm gonna want the paper to stick and apply to. If you go too thin, it's just too thin. And if you go too thick, it can get gobby too. So right now, I'm just looking for a medium thickness of top coat. in the area that I'm going to go ahead and put my paper. I want this to go on. My hope and my vision is that this is all gonna go on with like one sheet and have some frayed kind of edges. To get like the wee bit tacky, not tacky like gaudy furniture or terrible language, tacky like sticky. When you put it on, it's nice and smooth, and if you let it dry for just a couple seconds, it will tack up, and that'll help grab it, which is what you want to happen. You don't want to put it straight on straight away. It's just a trick I learned, but you also don't want to wait until it's completely dry either, right? That also defeats the purpose. So you just want to wait till it's like a little bit tacky, which by the time I got to the bottom, it already was. I kind of just put it on, wait a second, grab a drink, do whatever I need to do, and then get right back to it, and it's usually good. So now, I think I want to go this way. I was thinking about going this way, but there's like numbers and stuff and letters, and I think they make more sense going down. So I'm gonna go this way. I'm going to get a little bit more comfortable. This is longer than what I need, which is fine. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm eyeing my paper, but not pressing it down. I just want to see if it's where I want it to be. But I haven't pressed a single spot down yet, so I can still move it. And I think that all right, that's good. And I'm lining the top up with the top there, and then I'm going to press right in the center, and I'm just going to work my way out and down. I'm not pressing crazy hard, just enough to let my paper go on. I'm brushing from the center out and the center down. If I see any wrinkles, anything like that, I'm just brushing over. This paper is amazing, and when it dries, it pulls. So as it dries and expands, it's gonna pull a lot of this back out with it. So we're just gonna go ahead and work down and out. Now that it's on, I'm gonna cut the excess off. I like to put it on first and then cut because I just think it gives me a truer cut. I don't mind ripping it back some. I like different edges. Another trick would be to use a sander or sanding block. But this is going to give me nice frayed edges, which is what I wanted. So if you're new and jumping on, I was kind of going for like a fun frayed edge, because I want the paper to look old. So we're creating a fun frayed edge. I'm gonna go back in once it's on, and I'm going to sand this back and make it even a bit more frayed. And we'll get over to this side, and while we're doing this, all of our glue underneath is drying. Sometimes I have very fancy tools, like I have my Surf Prep sander and I have my Apollo sprayer, and you know what? Sometimes it's just easier to use my fingers for different things, right? Sometimes the amazing tools are where it's at, and sometimes you just gotta use what you got. Now there's some spots that need obviously a little bit more clear coat. That's no big deal, because we're gonna put clear coat over all this entire thing, and it's gonna absorb in and it's gonna work. So this is the gist of what I want it to look like. I mean, we're gonna cut here and here and here so we can actually open the drawers, but I'm really super digging how old it already looks, because I like to refinish things in a way where it still kind of looks a little bit old. It's just part of my thing. I enjoy that part. So I'm just kind of going across all of it again. All right, so now while that's doing that, I'm gonna take my brush and my top coat, and I'm gonna work a little bit thinner than we did the first time, and I'm gonna go across the top. So then when I put my new top coat on, I'll still even use my fingers with this part if I see anything that I think needs correcting. I think it's pretty cool that at my age I get to finger paint. But the neat thing is, I promise you, this is gonna dry and hold, and it's my favorite thing about Royce's papers, because I think they're very, very beginner friendly. So I'm making sure to get my edges with my top coat. And I wanna get in here a little bit better, because that's where our drawer changes. So it's gonna probably rip on me because this drawer pushed in. So, but that's okay, because I was gonna cut it anyway. Take the drawers out and we're gonna sand it and do some stuff. But this is just to get the paper onto each drawer. Decoupage projects like this with old street maps, and it's so fun. And that's what this kind of reminds me of, because it's like all the old blueprints and stuff, and it's just neat. And you see like a lot on tabletops and stuff like that, like you go in and it looks like the paper's just been stuck there for a decade because it got left and it just kind of stayed. It became part of the wood piece and part of whatever it is. And at least when I do decoupage, like that's what sticks in my head, is all these vintage old antique houses and stuff where people just put stuff down and it kind of just stayed part of it. And so when I decoupage, I like to make it look old. I don't know if that's how everyone is, but that's kind of how I roll. I'm going to start taking the drawers out. So as you can see, looks uniform down the front, but kind of bumpy, kind of ripped, kind of old and funky. I'm digging it. That was kind of what I thought. Let's get this drawer out. Make sure we're not still attached and pulling anything crazy. So what I'm gonna do is, I always kind of do just a quick double check that everything is on, that we're good, we're drying, it's pulling, all good things. Now I have a teeny tiny bit of paper up top. So I have a sanding pad and I'm just going to sand literally on this edge. I'm not pulling my paper up, I'm just sanding on the edge, and it's going to help me get that tiny bit of paper just off. So, see, it helps you just get that teeny tiny bit of paper right off your edge and clean up your line. You can also, this is a very fine sandpaper, so if you wanted to, you can go over. Barely any pressure, barely any. So now the same way I sanded the top of the drawer, I'm gonna sand this bottom edge, and it'll just help with all that, couple of those little extra spots. And then I'm gonna show you the drawer so you guys see how nice it's starting to come out. So this is our first drawer. Isn't that cute? Yeah. I'm trying to see if you guys can see. So that's nice and done. So we're gonna put that to the side. Let's get these out. So I'm gonna use my sandpaper again here on this edge and on this edge to clean that. So just sand right on the edge of your piece, and you're gonna let that friction kind of help you out. It's gonna help create a nice line. And then we're gonna do that here too. So just quick like that. And you know what? This sanding pad is awesome. It's foam on the back. It's by Surf Prep. They're called rad pads. It's literally very fine grit, so it's not messing up my paper. And it's just kind of letting me almost just do like a nice soft buffing. It's not making the papers bleed, it's not doing anything bad. And then it's just there, it's amazing. So again, I'm just gonna do right along this edge. This one I can see is still a little bit wet, so you might have to wait a second to do the top, but we're just gonna do the edge work. And this is pretty much the process that we're gonna continue through all of the drawers. And then once they're completely dry, like overnight dry, before I come back on with you guys, I'm gonna do a final thin top coat to really kind of seal it on there good. And to give it all like the same exact sheen, because I've been touching it, messing around and all that kind of stuff. So this is the process that we're basically gonna repeat all the way down, and then I'm gonna put a thin coat of top coat back on it once they're completely dried. Now again, when I'm doing that, I'm not pressing down with like crazy heavy-handed. I'm using a super light grip, using my rad pad, it's very light, and I'm just kind of using it to help go over the edges. So this is still wet. You see the big wet spot? That's still drying, but it looks neat, right? So we're just gonna cut it now. If it got too dry, we might have to put some more top coat on it, but it's not like it's the worst thing in the whole entire world. It'll be fine. Things totally happen. You just have to roll with it. And as soon as I learned to stop taking everything so super seriously, everything became fun. And then things started working out a whole lot better. Where did I put my rad pad? There it is. Okay. So again, we're gonna clean up this edge. There's some processes that are not, they're not the best processes for people who have like a need to control every single thing and have every single thing be like super OCD perfect, right? Like some things you just have to have a freer mindset going into, and sometimes I feel like decoupage can be part of that. Or like crackle mediums, you don't have 100% say where it crackles. Patina, sometimes you don't have 100% say where, or how much the rust comes through. Like there's certain stuff that you have to kind of learn to let go a little bit. And I think that that's really where some of the education and some of the life personal lessons have come in. That sometimes things don't happen exactly how I see them in my head, but they still turn out beautiful. And it still always works out. Always, always. And I meant what I said earlier, it was really when I started to embrace that this became a whole lot of fun. And I'm not saying that I don't have like bad moments where things I really need to be great kind of don't look great or things happen, because that's happened too. I've had like horrible embarrassing moments and all sorts of weird stuff in between. But learning to just breathe and that it's all going to be okay has really helped the creative process a bunch for me. Because guess what? Not every piece is gonna paint the same. Not every piece is gonna take stain the same. Not every piece is gonna do anything the same. And you really can't let it, you know, make you crazy, because it can. So just like with aging, I have learned to roll with all the new punches and all the different things. Like this piece right here is really being stubborn and doing things I don't want it to do. So I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna put like a tiny bit more so that it stays right like I want it to and stops being fresh. Okay. So now this drawer is good. And we have, see some of our rips, which are super fun. I like them. I embrace them. I think they make it look originally worn. When I'm making pieces to look old, I have to remember, like, nothing ages symmetrical, right? Like, you know, we get a new wrinkle here and we don't get the same one here, right? And if we get a gray hair here, we don't get the same one there. Like, it doesn't work out like that. And furniture and life is all the same way. It all ages in different spots in different ways. So I, you know, again, let it kind of do what it's gonna do. Pop this out. Now we put this glue on last, so this is still pretty dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do these two sections if I can, while we let that dry up. And then I think, oh yeah, man, we're at time. Thank you for being with me this long. So we are absolutely going to have to do the Would You Bend next week. And I'm even gonna finish that drawer off camera. But as you can see, it's all the same steps just over again. So I thank you for being here with me, and I hope you learned something about keeping it simple and just using your fingers and going for it and having fun with it, letting things not be super perfect. I hope all of that stuff happened for you guys today. I hope it encourages you to go grab some decoupage paper and not be scared of it and make something pretty. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to always reach out to me on Grace on Broadway. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, paint related, decoupage, whatever it is, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you then. All right, bye guys.